Welcome to the Celtic Craft Studio. And as promised, we are going to make ephemera today. So let me get started. Here's our journal. We have some pieces in here we're going to work on. As I mentioned, we're going to work on these pockets. I have 3 of these pockets to do. Then we'll put them in the journal. Okay, so we'll work on those 3 pockets. I'm calling these tag pockets. And these are the ones that are going to go in the journal. And then we're going to do some of these, which are pockets with tags in them. So it's kind of a variation using a glassine bag. So let me put these aside. We'll do those after we finish these. But we will do these today so that we can finish up our journal. I think we're ready to finish up and move on. All right, so let's start with some measurements for Carol. Once again, big thank you to Carol and Lola for being supportive viewers. I really do appreciate it. All right, now these came with the Marley Design Kit, which I will show you again. You might get tired of me showing you this, but Marley Design, I think it's, if you go on Etsy, it's Marley Design Digitals. And this is the time-stamped ephemera set. And she has both pages and ephemera. So these tags are from the ephemera, but you can always make your own tags. You know, you can get your own paper. These are 4 by about 7 1/4. All right. And there are 3 of those. And then it did come with pockets, but I had to cut these pockets down because they weren't quite the right size. So these, once again, are 4, like the tag. And then this way, not quite 3 1/2. So you can make them 3 1/2 if you want to keep life easy. All right, so let's go ahead. I think we need to, looks like we need to ink. Looks like they need to be antiqued a little. This is definitely one of those journals where everything kind of looks antique, so you kind of want to keep everything going in the same direction. So let's ink up the pockets. We'll just ink everything up. It's usually easier if you just ink everything at once. And once again, I just want to get rid of the white edge. I'm not looking to make the whole thing grungy looking. Just want to get rid of that white edge. So it looks like it came from a long time ago. Now, this one I actually made, and I showed you the cotton and twig. It went right out of my head for a moment. Cotton and twig. And what I did is she has no ephemera kit for those beautiful pages. So I printed out extra pages on cardstock and made my own tags. So that's one of the tags that I made out of the cotton and twig set. This looks like it might have been. And I'll show you what we're going to do with this little piece. Put that back up there. Let's go ahead and glue our pocket on. I just filled this, so hopefully it's going to come out a little easier. We do have a glob I need to get rid of. Got to get rid of those globs or they cause the tip to clog. I don't think my mouth wants to work today. So let's glue the pocket on. This pocket had an interesting thumb thing. It's the way she designed them. I kind of liked it. It's very different. than anything else. I like different, you know, sometimes we get stuck in a rut and do the same thing all the time. So it never hurts to shake things up a little. Okay, let's let that pocket dry before we put anything into it, because you don't want your tag or anything to get stuck. So let's put him aside and glue on another one. Oh no, this one I already did. Okay. This pocket has been glued on. We just haven't decorated it, so I'll show you how we're going to decorate it. And there's another one of the tags I made out of the cotton and twig set. We're going to slide that in and put that there. I'm just putting the 2 things, but you can always put more if you want. Let's get this guy. He's a little too white. I noticed the other one was too, and this is one I think I'm just going to kind of go over the top as well. It's just too white for my tastes. I'm just one of those people. I don't want things to say, hey, here I am. I'm a little more subdued and laid back, I guess you could say. All right, these have been inked. Great. You're not going to get bored watching me ink those. Maybe you don't get bored. Maybe you enjoy inking. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like watching inking, or you could live without it? To me, it's all about the details. You know, if I want a journal to look antique-y, then the ephemera should look antique-y as well. Now, this hasn't been. I can see the white edges, and I don't want to see those white edges. Once again, this is the tag I made from the cotton and twig set. You could use totally different tags. You know, maybe you want to go, I told you I kind of chose the butterfly theme on top of everything else, but maybe you want a bird theme and you're going to put bird tags in there, or some other kind of tag that you want to work on. All right, so let's go back and decorate these. So what I did to decorate them, this really doesn't take long. That's one reason I love the 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac. It's just they don't take long to glue down at all, and then you can move right along. All right, so I'm going to put that down. Now, because of what I am going to do with this piece of ephemera, I'm going to glue it into my journal, which I will show you, and make it a pocket as well, so you have more space to tuck things, which we will do. Otherwise, you know, I might use it as an actual tag to put in a pocket, which means, you know, I might put something at the top. But I'm not going to put something at the top because of the way I'm going to use it. All right, I'm going to put this, I'm thinking about what side it goes on. It's going to go on the right side of the signature. The others went on the left. So I think I'm going to move this over here. And then I'm going to use, just to do something special, I'm going to use some of these tape pieces. If I can dig them out of my little pile here. There they be. Let me set them over here. I like to set them on the white so I can see them because things get lost on the black. Let's go ahead and glue this down. All right, and I think today I am going to use my tweezers. Some mornings are a little more shaky than others. So I think the tweezers will come in handy. And then all I have left in my Tim Holtz tape set, and you know, there are a lot of tutorials about making faux tape with alcohol ink, or, you know, washi tape, even something different, just to bring an added something to your piece of ephemera. But all I have left are the big pieces, so cut it down. Cut it down. I don't want it to be big, because I don't want it to be overpowering, but all right, tweezers. Let's get the tweezers under there. And let's see, I think I'm going to have him go this way. Put him kind of on the bottom, like somebody taped. I got a little bumpity bump, but that's fine. You know, this doesn't have to be perfect. This was, you know, in somebody's scrapbook many moons ago, and it looks old, and I'm going to make this one a little smaller, because I think he might be a little too long. Okay, once again, take my tweezers so I can place him just where I want him. And you don't have to make it perfect. You can kind of have it going at an angle. Just think about what they might have done when they were taping it down in their scrapbook. All right, so there you go. A little extra something. We'll put that one aside and finish this one. This one I'm going to put over here too, but you know, I thought about making this one go off the thing. And I would do a wraparound, except we're going to glue, and I don't want that to interfere. So I'm probably just going to cut it off. Let's glue it where we want it. Think about where we want it before we actually put it down. That usually helps the process if you have a plan. I like the idea that people show when they're making layouts, whether it be for a journal or maybe slow stitching, and you lay something out and then you take a picture of it so you remember how you wanted it to be. Good idea. Good idea. All right, so I'm going to put him down. I'm going to flip that over before I get too much glue on my mat. I don't like getting glue on this mat. It takes the paint off. I think I've told you that I have Tim Holtz under here, but the glass, there's too much reflection going on. Let's make sure that's straight. And then we can go ahead. And as you see on my tags, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, kind of. You see the lines? I print lines on all my tags. So once again, you wouldn't have to glue this down in your journal. You could put it into another pocket, or you could attach it with one of those cute little paper clips that I just love, or bulldog clips. But we're going to glue it in today. Let's see, I need some more tape. That once again does not look very... And I think it needs a little inking on the edge. Let's ink right there. Once again, make him look a little older. Not so white. And then we're going to cut this piece of tape in half. We still got that little piece too, but this tag's pretty big, so I may wait and use that on the other one. All right. Take my backing off. Ooh, we caught some paper. You gotta watch that. They're pretty sticky. Okay. Put this down. Yeah, maybe I will use that little one. I think we're just gonna put this at the top. kind of about there, maybe over just a little. All right, good. Last one, and then we can put these in our journal. And then Monday's video will be the last one for this journal, because we'll be putting the finishing touches on. All right, I think he needs a little more too. Looking too white there. Okay. And that goes on this side over here. Go ahead and glue it down and tape it, and then we will use it in our journal. Are you making a journal? I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything from anybody. We're definitely gathering new followers. That's great. And like I've told those that have been here from the beginning, I'd love to see what you're doing. I'd love for you to share on my Facebook page, the Celtic Crafts Studio. Love to see what you're doing. That's been used up. That's fine. Is there another? Well, that one's a good one. We'll try this one. Let's cut this in half. You got to watch which side is which too, because it's a little deceiving. Well, maybe it's just deceiving to me, but I find it deceiving. All right. So tell me, we've talked about ephemera before. I think I've asked you what your favorite ephemera is. What kind of ephemera would you like me to show you? Which, if I do an extra day of ephemera, what kind of things would you like me to work on? I do want to get to Edith eventually. I make a lot of Edith ephemera. And if you're doing a nature journal, which, you know, it's coming up to spring, a lot of people do those nature journals. So I think doing the Edith Holden ephemera items like tags, pockets, envelopes. I make envelopes. Maybe we'll go through a Edith Holden ephemera series, because like I say, they are perfect for spring. And I sell Edith pages in my shop, in my Etsy shop. Sometimes you have scraps left over from your Edith pages. If you aren't just putting the Edith page in the journal and you're using them for something else, you may have scraps, which are perfect for different types of ephemera. All right, so there we have it. We have our, let me get them in order because they do go in a certain order. All right, so I think we'll put that one first, and we'll go like that. Let me grab my journal, which is almost complete. Got the corners on. I still have to do her nameplate. Remember, Aubrey is her name. And we're going to put that right about there. So I need to print that out and get that on so that her cover will be done. All right. So we have these on the, and let me show you, get a piece. This isn't going to go in here, but actually it might, who knows. See, we're going to put stuff behind there. Probably something taller, something shorter. I usually do a staggered thing, so your eye kind of moves around the page. All right, so we have one on the first page of the signature, and I want to put one on the back page of the signature. And as you can see, we've got a blue one, and that one has a rose. So, you know, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to mix it up, make it a little different, and put this one over here. Okay, so it's going to be glued in there, so we want to glue on these two sides. And I see that it needs a little trimming. Just a little, not much. And whenever you trim, don't forget to ink again, because you lose your ink when you do that. All right, so let's put some glue on. And get it glued down. And once again, we're going to use our clips to hold it until it's dry. Just kind of, I usually leave just, you know, showing a little strip of the paper. And when you do that, you might once again need to ink, because we lost some of our grunge over here. All right, let's put a couple of clips on. We'll put one here, I think. Excuse my reach. And we'll put one here. All right. Next signature, we will move right along. You can mess with those later. That's when you put the final touches on, you can mess around with your tags and how you want it to look. Because I might actually move that over and have the tall here and the shorter there. But we'll do that when we're doing our final touches. That's a final touch thing. So here we have this pocket. I'm going to go ahead and remove these because I know that's dry. Let's move to the back page. And we're going to put this pocket to there. Okay, so let's glue that down. All right, get it lined up here. Ooh. And if you're not making a journal, what are you making? I'd love to hear where you're from. I'd love to hear where you're from. That would be nice. And, I mean, you don't have to give me your address or anything. Just general country, state, just a general idea where you're from. And what you're working on. What are you interested in? Are you one of those that just likes watching journaling videos? Or do you actually make journals? Do you make other things? Slow stitch? We all have our favorites, I am sure. I started out making jewelry and selling it on Etsy. And it just wasn't a big boom. So I decided I'd try something else. And that is when I discovered Gail Augustinelli. Watched her all the time. Still do. Still do. And I thought, oh, I can do that. And then I got a chance to meet her and really kind of turned things around for the Celtic Craft Studio. I apologize. I think I have a phone over here making a noise. Just when you think you've turned off all your bells and whistles, you hear something. All right, last one, last page, and it goes down. And this page looks a little crooked. I think we're going to trim it just a tad. Once again, as you go through, those are things you can kind of adjust as you're working along in your journal. Did you make one of these covers? If you did, let me know. If you thought it was easy, hard, you'll never do it again, you love it. All right, let's get our glue is a little globbed. And I don't like globby glue, as you know. And we don't want it to stick our pages together. All right. So, like I say, next time we'll be putting the finishing touches on her, on Aubrey. So stay tuned. We'll be finishing her in the next video. Meanwhile, let's do a little more ephemera. I'm going to do these pockets. I use these, as I mentioned, as giveaways. You know, if you buy something from my shop, I usually put in a little something that you can use in your own journals or give to a friend, you know, whatever you want to do with them. So I make these, and you can never have enough of them because I give them away quite often. That's one of the things I do. I try to mix it up, but so I'm going to make some so you can see. Similar concept, in my opinion. We're going to use a glassine bag. So let's measure for Carol. And I always like making sure the crease is in the back and the opening is in the front. So I'm making sure before I do that. The bags are 4 by 6 3/4. So I went through the cotton and twig papers that I had left over, and this is great for leftovers. You know, when you finish a journal, you have a stack of paper. Well, use it to make other ephemera. This would be great in any botanical journal. I love making the seed catalog journals. Spring is here. Spring has sprung. And I think we're ready to make spring botanical journals, which I absolutely love. Okay. So, we find a piece of paper that fits like a pocket. Can be any size. Can be short. Can be a little taller. I like this size so that you can see what's going on in your pocket and your glassine bag. Let me get my thumb punch. It's actually a circle punch. And I don't know what size is it. Does it say on here? I don't see that it says. It's a mystery. Usually they say on them, and I don't see this one. Maybe a 1-inch punch, 3/4 punch. Let's see if we can tell after I punch. Oh yeah, I'd say that's a 1-inch punch. A 1-inch hole. You can find them at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you can get them on Amazon. I don't typically buy my punches on Amazon because a lot of times they don't work. They're not very sharp. They just don't work like you want them to. I have tried the foil trick. People say if you punch on a piece of foil, it sharpens the punch. That works sometimes, but not all the time. So I like to get a good punch that I know is actually going to punch. Funny that, huh? All right, so let's glue the pocket on, and once again we will set this to the side because I don't want to get things stuck. So we'll put all this stuff that I want to put in it over here, and we'll glue this one down. We'll make a thumb hole. So you know it's a pocket. My sponge, I can see it's time to change my sponge. I'm getting sponge crumbs everywhere. Excuse me while I dump these sponge crumbs. Sometimes you do not want to just wipe because then you get a little smear that you don't want. Glue this pocket down. Once again, you could decorate these, and maybe I will. You know, I'm not, if I use them in a journal, you know, if I give them away and decide it needs something more, you could add butterflies. Here, we got butterflies over here. You could add butterflies, flowers. Let's see if we can find a butterfly I actually like. Oh, I like that one. You didn't really go. This one might go. If we add a flower and something, you can make them big. We've got kind of a butterfly over here. He would look better, wouldn't he? Yes, he would. Maybe I'll leave that there and cut him out and put it on later. All right, so we've got our two that are ready to go. And these, if I put them in a journal, I would actually probably clip them in because I don't really like gluing on the glassine. It tends to show through and doesn't look as nice. So I would probably just clip them in. And then you could take them out and do whatever you want with them. All right, so I think we're going to have to ink a little more. And I hate to do that without, I promise I will change this the next time because I'm going to make more crumbs. All right, so the tag I'm actually going to put in the bag. So we'll go ahead and do him first. I'm going to do this back here so that I'm crumbing in my lap and not on my piece of ephemera. Okay. Oh, I love those purple flowers. And I like to have something peeking out so you can see. Okay. And if you're going to put him over there, in my mind, this is my mind. My mind is, remember I told you I tend to be kind of an organized thinker. I don't work well in chaos. I like organization, being organized. I think that goes there. And then I have these seed packets. I love seed packets, gardening journals. In fact, I have one in my shop that I designed with seed packets on it. And some of you may. I lost you. I looked up and you were gone. So I went on and you missed some things. So I'll have to go back and explain what you missed. And if somebody is a little more tech savvy than I, can you tell me why after 30 minutes my phone just shuts off? Because that's what's happening. And then it shuts the video off and you're gone. But I'm back. Let me go over what you missed. We were making these pockets. I was looking at the pockets and I decided that with this one I didn't want to add anything but my little clip. All right, and you know, maybe I'll go back and change my mind, but right now I don't want to cover that up because I like that. So I don't necessarily, and I don't see anything over here to my side that says, oh, I must go on that. So I'm going to leave it for now. You can always change your mind. It's a great thing about this. I'm going to put the tag in here and this in the pocket. And I like doing that. Once again, I like the movement of things that make your eye go from one thing to another. And then this is going to go here. So I'm going to call this pocket finished. And then this one, I decided this was the part you missed because you went bye-bye. But I decided this needed something else, and since we have a butterfly theme going, I looked through my butterflies and I found this one kind of in the same color tones, and so I cut him out, but I didn't want to mess with the antennae, so I went ahead and cut that out. And then what I did was I draw the antennae on, make the little dot. I'm making this as a little thicker, so I'm going back over. Make a little dot. Okay. I think they need antennae, but sometimes they're a little fiddly to cut out. So sometimes I just cut the antennae off and then draw it in. And then I decided to put a little label, and once again I put the staple in the label before I glued it on, so that we're not stapling through the pocket, which I suppose you could do. It's not going to take up too much space there, but that's the way I do those labels. So that's what you missed. And now we're going to fill the pocket, the bag. Once again, I think we'll put this over to the side and put this in the pocket. And then I have a nice little vinca that can go right there. And I think that's good. You know, you may want to add more. You might want to put something else in it or put something different in it. I like the fact that when you take the things out of the pocket, then you can see what's going on in the bag. So, like I say, I give these away as little gifts when you buy something from my shop. But you can also use them in a journal by clipping them in. Which reminds me, we need to put a little clip on this one. It's just a little added extra. And you can clip that in or just leave it like that. I don't usually like gluing these in because you can see them through the bag. But there they are. That is my ephemera for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you can think of any other ephemera things you'd like me to share, let me know in the comments below. Send me a little message and say, hey, I'd like to see you do this, and I'd be happy to do that for you. So thank you for joining me. Thank you again for those who are faithful followers. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notification, and invite your friends. Tell your friends about the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm hoping they'll stop in and see what's going on. The more, the merrier. Until the next time, stay crafty.